Hello, and welcome to the Dr. L Show. This is a special episode. As you know, we've taken a little time off for the summer, but we thought it would be a nice opportunity for you, the viewer, to get an inside, up close, and personal look at our two still brand new K-8 schools here in Bristol. As you know, we've taken a tremendous amount of time this year to carefully open and manage the schools, and it's been such a success for our students and our staff, and I believe for the community as well. So I'd like to introduce to you today a very special guest on our show, Mr. Tim Callahan. Tim, welcome.
Oh, thank you
Tim
very much.
is the director and architect for both of our new school projects, and he's going to take some time with our viewers this afternoon to walk through the schools, to give you an up-close tour of what the inside of each of the schools is all about. So enjoy your tour today with Tim Callahan, and we'll be back with you on a regular basis in the fall.
Okay, we're here at the West Bristol School. This project is a little bit different than the Green Hill School, which we talked about before. The same program, the same pieces, but we're on a wide open site. This used to be a pasture, an old farm area. This building was conceived of as an object in the landscape, meant to be seen from a distance. Also, you'll see lots of glass on the outside. The idea here is for students to look out and view the landscape out of the building. This building is set up the same way in terms of the site work. We have separation of bus drop-off and parent drop-off. This side here you're looking at is the parent drop-off. On the other side, the buses, so none of them converge together. They're separate. It's very safe for the children and very easy to get it in and out of. The entrance to the building you'll see is right here through the main front door. It's quite obvious that's the main front door. You enter into there and you see there the rotunda, the lobby, and that connects to all the different components of the building, so everything is a focus and centered around that lobby space. The way the building is set up is we have separate wings that come off of that lobby. There's a two-story wing here, which is our elementary school wing. It's separated programmatically, and it's also separated physically from the building. The piece in the back you can see sticking up over the top, that's our three-story middle school wing. So we have the grades for the middle school on that side, so they have their own separate address in the building itself. Cafeteria wing, and then we have the gym and music wing. So the building is set up, both buildings are programmatically the same square footage, same area, and same approach to the program. Welcome to our lobby space. This is the entry rotunda that was designed so that all the pieces of the building come together in this lobby itself. So it's the lobby which all of our students come together, the common area for the building. Connected to this is, out that area there is that's our parent drop-off. Behind you is our bus drop-off. They collect in here, come in this way here, and everyone migrates to their classroom space. The way the building is set up is the elementary school, the two-story wing, which I've referenced before, is on that side. The three-story wing, which is our middle school wing, is on this side here, connected with its own presence on the rotunda. And then we have the grade levels, which are sort of put together in terms of strata, the lower elementary school, upper elementary school, and then your 6th, 7th, and 8th layered accordingly in the middle school. Down this hallway here is the cafeteria area. And then down that wing is the music and the gymnasium. The interesting thing about that is it allows us to separate the music in the gym area, so the noisy components of the program are in one section and the classrooms are actually quiet and off on their own on the other sections. We're now entering to the cafeteria area. As we spoke before, the cafeteria, in the same way that the rest of the building is broken up, is broken into elementary school area, which is this side, and the other side, which is our middle school. We also have done service lines which allow the separation of the larger students from the younger students, and they can move through the lines and have separation that way. Also, I think, which is very interesting, and Dr. Moreau, our deputy superintendent, had this idea, which was to bring back, the original site was a cow pasture, so this sort of references the screens. Now, if I take you over to the screen, I'm going to walk quickly over to here. You can see that the screens actually operate on a track up here. So one of the nice things is we can move them around, use them flexibly, separate them for all different kinds of things. You'll notice in here too that we have audio, so we can have microphones and project events in here through a PA. We have monitor screens in here. The technology piece here, the other day I was watching the kids at the end of school. They had a movie on, and the kids were watching it. The sound system is fantastic in here. So it really serves as a multi-purpose room again, which functions, separates the larger kids from the smaller kids. We're now entering into the elementary school wing. We're on the first floor. This first floor is really the lower grades. So all the children have direct access out to grade. There's a playscape at the end, which is part of the program for the younger children. There's another playscape out the other side of the building, which is for the older elementary school. So as we move through here, you'll notice that a common theme in both of the buildings is the breakout space. So these are really small spaces that allow us to have informal gatherings of classes. So one or two classes can get together, they can sit on the floor, they can give a lesson here. So it's really meant to allow informal things to happen or classes to come together and break out in spaces. This, taking over this way here, I'll show you a kindergarten classroom. Our primary first graders are similar to this. We have a larger classroom. These tend to be about 1,000 square feet. Each one has its own individual toilet, so the children don't have to leave, the younger kids don't have to leave. Our first grades are set up like this. Cubbies along this wall here. Natural daylight coming in there. I'll talk about the daylight harvesting a little bit later on, but these classrooms are primarily set up the same way all of our classrooms are set up. We have our smart board in the front of the classroom, which can be operated from the teacher's desk on this side here. We use direct and indirect lighting for a better light quality in the space. We also use sensors which allow us, the building understands when we're in the space and when we're out, so it can sense when we're here. Mechanicals turn on and off, lighting turns on and off. Here we're looking at the bathroom. Now watch, you'll see the light automatically go on when I walk in. This is another feature that we have with the bathrooms. And one of my favorite components here is, if you get a shot of it, is the children's toilet. This is set up for get a sense of scale for our kindergartners who feel comfortable in this space. It's handicap accessible. There's no intimidation, and they can use this bathroom. So we've sort of set up the scale so it fits our younger grades. We are now in our gymnasium, which also functions as an auditorium. Programmatically, it works for our physical education, and it also works for our fine arts program, music program. This particular space, is acoustically treated, so it has good sound qualities and sound PA equipment so that it amplifies the sound and works well as an auditorium, and it also works as a gymnasium. We'll take a walk up the platform here. We set the platform up so that it connects back to the gymnasium, and it also connects to the auditorium. This area here functions also as a rehearsal space for our music program. So the music equipment will be set up here. There's an operable wall which comes across this way here. It seals up the room so that we can have music on one side and two programs happening for gymnasium on the other side. So it really covers a lot of ground in terms of its function. And that's really due in part to the fact that our funding from the state is in such a way that you can't have an auditorium and a gymnasium. So we're creative with the way we use spaces. Here we are. We're in the classroom for the elementary school, the music classroom for the elementary school. You'll see here that we've treated this acoustically above with acoustical panels. We also have sound equipment in here that allows for us to do some recording. The choral group will rehearse in here. And again, we have a lot of the technology components that we have in the other parts of the building, including a smart board behind me. And now we're using these state-of-the-art digital pianos. And the beautiful thing about these digital pianos is they're always in tune. And it's nice because they're also velocity sensitive. So we don't have to now bring in tuners to tune the pianos and so forth. But these all also have MIDI capabilities so that it can connect to our computers. We can do arranging on them and really some exciting things we can do with computers and technology for our music program. Well, here we are. We're at the Green Hills School. We just came down from the West Bristol School. West Bristol is located up in the Chippens Hill area, and this is located in our Forestville area. I just want to make reference of the architects. On the West Bristol, it was DRA with the construction manager, Gil Bain. And on this project, it's Tai-Soo Kim, and our construction manager was O&G Carpenter Construction. There are a lot of similarities in these projects. To start out, they have the same square footage. They're designed with the same square footage in mind. We tried to achieve a lot of the similar programmatic relationships that we established in the other building. We also did, in terms of the site, separation of bus and parent drop-off. So this area here serves us as the bus drop-off. They come through and in, and the separation of the parents, they drop off over in this area over here. So we accomplished some of the same goals. As you'll see, as you saw in West Bristol, we have a main entrance which is extended through with this clear story space, vestibule area. This building really is, rather than being an object in landscape or a bucolic sort of farmscape, this is more of an urban idea. So the construction, the dynamics, and the layout of the building are slightly different, but the features are the same. Again, we have the 3-story middle school wing on this side here. We have the 2-story elementary school wing on this side here, and then they come together in the common area where we have the lobby space, the library, and then we have the common area, administrative areas, guidance areas, all on the first floor. So come on in and we'll give you a tour of the school. Welcome inside to our vestibule area here at Green Hills. This project is a little bit different in terms of the way it's set up and the way it's organized. We talked about the similarities, but the differences you'll see is that this really is a building which is located around a garden space, internal courtyard or cloister as it's referred to. It's really meant to be a space that you move around and see and view. The other school we talked about is more of viewing out to the landscape, but this is more of an urban where we brought the landscape in, and there's a courtyard in the middle which is very beautiful. I think one of the other features of this building, you'll notice that there's a lot of beautiful natural daylight that comes into the building. Tai-Soo Kim is known for their use of natural daylight and what we call daylight harvesting. And they use a series of clear story glazing, which is windows up above. They also use windows, ribbon windows you'll see around here, which bring in natural daylight and gives the building a sense of being inside and outside. I think you'll also notice too the use of skylights. The skylights up above here you'll see are located and give this a lot of natural light. We don't have many lights on right here now, but it feels like the space is artificially illuminated. It's actually more beautiful than artificial illumination. Again, this area is our breakout space, and as we move, we have the middle school down in this section here, our elementary school down this way, and we're looking out into the library, which has a glass front that faces out onto the courtyard. Here we are in the common area, the breakout space. This is similar to what we saw at West Bristol. And this is for an informal place for students to gather and come together with the classrooms here. As you'll notice here, we have, again, the use of natural daylight harvesting through the clear story lighting up there, which is basically windows up above the roofscape. I'll take you now into one of the classrooms, and we'll talk about the high-performance components of the classroom. We'll make our way into one of the classrooms. As you'll notice, the lights will go on as I move into the space here. See the lights go on here. And what we have in here is, I want to talk about the high performance or sustainable components that we have in the classrooms. The first thing I want to talk about is the sensors that allow us to know when somebody comes into the space. So you see the sensors up there. So it automatically detects that we're in the space, the lights shut on, turn on, and the mechanical systems automatically go on. Also, one of the other components we're using here, and you'll see, notice how this light here on the edge is dimmer. What we're using now is what we call daylight harvesting. The light shelf here bounces light into the space, and you can see here that it's very bright on this side, just as it is over there, but we've turned down the energy use on this component here. So as the light comes in and the light gain comes up, the lights dim here, so we use less power that way here. Again, with the mechanical systems, we do the same thing. We'll talk a little bit about the geothermal wells. So the entire building is heated and cooled by what we call ground source heat pumps. So it takes the energy from the ground, brings it up, and distributes it around the building. In the wintertime, we bring in the heat through the radiant floor slab system. So there's a series of tubes, and they warm the floor up, and the heat radiates up. During the summertime, like we see now, we bring in the cool air from above, and you'll know natural convection, the cool air settles down. So we bring the heat and the cooling in where it's most effective and used most efficiently. So it makes the students more comfortable, and everybody is, the air and the movement and the efficiency are work very well in this building. Food services changed a lot over the years. As you can see here, we have a state-of-the-art kitchen in the back of house. We serve all kinds of meals, all different kinds of different choices, very much different than of course when I went to school. And we also do the same thing that we talked about at West Bristol. We have on this side the elementary school, the younger kids come through here, they check out over there, and we also have a secondary line on the other side, which is for the middle school children. So separation. Cafeteria is the same square footage, a little different design interpretation of how that works. You'll see on the end of this, we have a large band of glass on one side, again allowing natural light to come into the space. We're looking now at the play fields out here. Both schools have a soccer field, a big league baseball field, and a little league baseball field. You can see out here underneath this is where we talked about our geothermal wells, but it's all usable space. We have two playscapes, and we use this nice soft rubber surface now, which is very easy on the feet, very safe for the children. This is our upper elementary playscape where the older kids from the elementary school come out and play. And we have one at the kindergarten level on the other side, which is at grade. The kids come right out of their doors and out to the playscape. One of the most interesting time was during construction. This was an exciting place to be. One of the most interesting things that they did during construction was to drill 150 ground source wells out here, geothermal wells they refer to them as. They're underneath these fields about 6 feet down. They go 500 feet into the ground, and they harvest 52-degree water from the earth. We bring those pipes into a manifold over on this section over here. The manifold then takes them and brings the two pipes into the building, and it's used for heating and cooling the building. We'll go downstairs and I'll show you where they come into the building. We are now in the mechanical room. This is a very special place in my heart. This is where we just talked about all the 150 geothermal wells that are out in the back. They come into this location here, over here, in two pipes. One a supply and one a return. These two pumps here then take that water. The water comes in here at actually 52 degrees. So all year round we're getting the same temperature water. What we do with that water is we bring it into the building, and on days like today, when we're needing cooling, we bring the temperature of the water down into a refrigerant. We lower that to about 45 degrees. In the wintertime, we raise the temperature, so we're doing two different things. So that's where the pipes come in. They come in from the manifold, they come into here, and what we like to say about this space, it's like the Starship Enterprise. You remember the old boiler rooms where you had a furnace, you had oil tanks, it was dirty, it was dusty. This is not like that. It's very clean, very quiet, and quite an interesting space. Once we bring the water into the building, it moves into our heat pumps. These are our heat pumps here. As you can see here, we have the white heat pumps are used for our VRVs and our ceiling. So they're used for cooling. They take the ground source water, bring it in, raise or lower the temperature, and send it out to the ceilings of the classrooms and the rest of the building. So it comes in cold, comes in high. These heat pumps down here are for the floor slabs. So they do the opposite. They warm the water and send it around here so that it heats the floor slabs, and the floors are heated, and the natural temperature radiates up. We're now in the electrical room. What's interesting about this room is that we have a generator system, a full generator system. You look in here at the emergency generator. This is the switch gear for that. Out in the back, it's a diesel engine that runs this building in the event that the electricity should go down. So we maintain all the technology pieces, we keep the heating system operational, and we have some of the lighting components and all of the brains of the building that stay operational in the event of we lose power. We're now looking at our domestic hot water system. We're using in this building two solar panel systems. One is an active, which generates electricity. The other is passive, which takes the sun's temperature, warms the water, and recirculates it into the building. What we have here is our water tanks. One of them is taking the energy we're getting from the rooftop solar panels, bringing it down into the tanks and heating the water. The second one is a gas-operated domestic hot water heater. What happens here is when the water's hot enough, it stores it in here, and if we don't need the hot water, we will not use any gas. The other thing that this does, even in the wintertime, it supplements the hot water. So you think about it, when the water comes out of the ground, it's somewhere in the 60-degree temperature. This automatically heats it up. So we're gaining heat from the ground, if you will, from the daylight, sorry, and bringing into these and then storing them in these tanks and using those as supplemental heating. I'd like to talk a little bit now about how we control this entire system. One of the important things that we started out on our journey of creating this building was to have state-of-the-art technology that allowed us to control all the building components. We're looking here now at our Andover Continuum system, which allows us to look at the building entirely, what the mechanical systems are doing. So if we were to look at this right now, for example, we know in Group 1 that Section 3 is running at, the room temperature is at 77 degrees, the set point is at 68 degrees, and it's in cooling mode. So we can look through this and see where they're set at. We can control each unit by clicking down on here and toggling through the menu of what temperatures we want. We want it to cool, we want it to heat, fan speed, and other variables. We can also go into monitoring here, where we can monitor the system in terms of the groups, what's on, what's off, the degree, the fan, the other components, what room is it associated with. So we can on the fly look at the building systems and identify where problems are, what building sections are heating or cooling, and we can also set temperature points for different people in different areas of the building. At the Green Hills School, we'd like to focus in on this little walkthrough on the technology piece of it, or the sustainable piece of the project. What we have is we have a number of components that we're using in this building to harvest energy. This television camera up here is part of a display which shows what our active solar system is solar panel system is currently doing up on the roof. This is also a very good learning tool for our students. So we're using the building as a learning tool for our students. They can look at the screen and they can see now that we're generating 40.68 kilowatts. This line here talks about the blue line is what we are using in terms of energy and how much we're capturing on the solar panels. So that is a great learning tool for our students. Also interesting for us to look at it. You can see today that it's a very bright day. As you saw outside, we're getting the maximum solar generation from those panels. So everything is working well and functioning according to plan. I'll take you out to look at the solar panels up on the roof. We're now at the highest point in the building. This is really the highest grade level too. This is our 8th grade classroom wing. I want to talk a little bit about the organization of the building, which I spoke about when we came into the building. As you look down, this is a beautiful view from up here. You can see all the pieces of the building. They collect around this courtyard, as we spoke before, with views into the garden, into the courtyard, or the cloister, if you will. On this area here, that serpentine piece there is our library. Again, we have our elementary school wing over here, and we're in the 3-story middle school wing. It's interesting because you ascend, and this is the highest point. The 8th graders come here, and then they leave the school. One of the important components about this building is seeing and being seen. So now if I'm an 8th grade student here, and my little sister is going to the cafeteria down below, I can see her and wave to her there. She knows this is her final destination as she moves through the curriculum and moves through the building, that she will end up here, and this will be her place, and then move on to the one of the high schools. A couple other things that I'd like to talk about. We talked about the daylight harvesting. If you look over here, you can see the round domed pieces, which are part of our skylights, which we saw when we entered into the atrium space. That also is clear story lighting, which is light that comes in from above. Over here, that's in the lobby space. Those are the breakout spaces of the common areas we were in. You can see the clear story lighting there, and over there, the same thing, and the cafeteria lighting. I'd also like to talk about, and we'll go out and take a walk out on the roof, the passive and active photovoltaics, or solar panels. The ones here, the silver ones you're seeing here, we'll look at them more closely, take the natural daylight, or the sunlight, they generate it into electricity. So that's called an active system. It actually transforms the sunlight power into electricity. Those panels over there, we talked about those in the mechanical room for the hot water system. They actually take the piping and heat it all up and warm it all up and warm up the water so that's used for heating the domestic water or use in our domestic hot water system. So there's no changeover, but really the sun's heating is used to generate the warmth for our domestic hot water. We're up on the roof now. As you can see, it's very bright. It's a sunny day, and we are collecting a lot of power up here. To my right are the passive solar panels. They take the daylight, the sunlight, and change it into electricity, and we move it into the building and use it to power our electrical system. These are our other solar panels. This is what we call our passive system. And these panels, this large array, are larger, and they collect the sun's heat and heat the water and bring that down into where we saw it come in to our domestic hot water. As you can see today, by the way my eyes are being blinded, there's a lot of light out here. These are working to full capacity, and we're generating a lot of warm water right now.